Smoke rose over the broken alien city, turning the orange sky into a dark gray cloud. The ground was covered with dust, burned metal, and the smell of war. Buildings stood half destroyed, their walls cracked and silent. No voices, no life. Only the wind moving through empty streets. Inside one of the ruins, Lyra, an alien medic, hid behind a collapsed wall. Her hands shook as she pressed a piece of cloth to a wound on her leg. Her green skin was covered with ash and blood. She could hear the heavy sound of human boots outside. Her people had told her about humans since she was a child. They said humans were monsters, creatures from a cruel world who burned, ate, and destroyed everything they saw. They said humans had no hearts, no mercy, only hunger for war. Now Lyra saw one with her own eyes. A tall figure moved through the fog, holding a weapon in his hands. His armor was black and dirty from battle. The symbol on his arm showed the blue circle of Earth. He was a human soldier, a real monster from the stories. Lyra's breath caught in her throat. She pressed her back against the wall and tried not to make a sound. Her heart beat fast. She had seen humans kill without blinking. She had seen their machines burn her city. If he found her, she thought, he would finish what they started. The soldier stopped near her hiding place. He turned slowly, scanning the area. Then his voice broke the silence, calm but firm. "Anyone here?" Lyra froze. She did not answer. Maybe he would leave. But the soldier walked closer. His steps were heavy but not rushed. He didn't sound angry. He sounded tired. Through a small crack in the wall, Lyra saw his face for a moment. It wasn't what she expected. He wasn't smiling or growling like a beast. His eyes looked serious, even sad. Her foot slipped on a stone. The sound was small, but the soldier turned instantly. The barrel of his gun pointed straight at the ruins. Lyra's heart stopped. She grabbed a small metal rod beside her, a poor weapon, but all she had. The soldier stepped forward and saw her. For a moment, both stood still, one human, one alien, eyes locked in fear. The world around them was quiet, like time itself had stopped. Lyra expected the sound of fire. She waited for the shot, but it didn't come. The human soldier slowly lowered his weapon. He didn't speak. He just looked at her wound, then at her shaking hands. His armor creaked as he knelt down on one knee. Lyra didn't understand. Was this some trick? Humans never showed mercy. That's what she had been told. The soldier opened a small metal bottle and rolled it toward her. Water spilled from its edge. Lyra blinked, confused. He said softly, "You're hurt. Drink." His voice was deep but calm. Not like a monster at all. Lyra didn't move. She stared at him, her breathing fast. He didn't push her or shout. He just sat there waiting. Then he took off his helmet. His face was human, scarred, dirty, but strangely gentle. His eyes were brown, not red like she imagined. "Don't worry," he said quietly. "I'm not here to kill you." Lyra didn't believe him. No one would. But then something even stranger happened. He reached into a small pack on his belt and took out a flat metal box. He opened it, and the smell of food filled the air. Warm bread, cooked meat, something soft and sweet. Lyra's stomach twisted with hunger. She hadn't eaten in 2 days, the soldier noticed. He looked at her, then at the food. Without a word, he pushed the box toward her. Lyra's hands shook. She looked at him, trying to understand. "Why?" she whispered. Her voice was weak. The soldier didn't answer. He simply smiled, tired but kind. "You look hungry," he said softly. That one sentence broke something inside her. No monster had ever said words like that. But still, she didn't take it. She couldn't trust him. She just stared at him as he sat beside her, eating a small piece himself to show it wasn't poisoned. Then he looked up at the broken sky. "The war wasn't supposed to be like this," he murmured. "We were told your people attacked first. Maybe we were both lied to." Lyra didn't know what to say. Her heart felt strange, half fear, half curiosity. She had been told humans had no soul, no heart. But the man sitting beside her didn't look soulless. He looked human. The silence between them grew heavy, but it wasn't the silence of hate. It was the silence of confusion, of two enemies realizing they didn't really understand each other. As the last light faded from the sky, the soldier stood. He looked at her one last time. "Stay here tonight," he said. "It's not safe outside." "I'll be back." Lyra didn't answer. She just watched him walk away, his figure disappearing into the smoke. For a long moment she sat still, staring at the food he had left behind. Then slowly she picked it up and smelled it again. Her people said humans were monsters, but monsters didn't share food. Monsters didn't offer water. Lyra took a small bite. It was warm and soft. Her eyes filled with tears as she whispered to herself, maybe they were wrong. End of Part 1. Cliffhanger. The next morning, Lyra wakes to the sound of footsteps again. More humans this time. But where is Sergeant Cole? And why does she suddenly care if he's alive? The morning light fell weakly over the ruined city. Thin rays of sunlight tried to cut through the gray smoke that still rose from the broken streets. The air smelled of dust and metal. Lyra woke with a start. The world around her was quiet. Too quiet. She looked around. The human soldier was gone. The small box of food he had left was still beside her, half-eaten. She stared at it for a long time, thinking about what had happened. Her heart felt strange. Humans were supposed to be monsters. That was what she had been taught all her life. But the one she met last night, Sergeant Cole, didn't act like a monster. He didn't hurt her. He gave her water. He gave her food. She shook her head, trying to clear her thoughts. No, she whispered to herself. He's tricking me. That's what monsters do. But deep inside, another voice spoke softly. Then why didn't he kill you when he had the chance? Lyra didn't have an answer. She moved carefully through the ruins, her legs still hurting. She wanted to return to her people, but she didn't even know if they were alive. Her city had fallen fast and communication lines were gone. Every corner could hide danger. When she reached a higher point, she looked out at the streets below. The humans had built a small camp in the middle of the city square. Their metal machines stood in lines, their blue lights flashing. Smoke from their fires rose into the air, and then she saw him, the same human soldier. He was walking among his men, helping to move debris and carry the wounded. Lyra blinked in surprise. Humans helping wounded aliens? That made no sense. Her curiosity grew stronger than her fear. She stayed hidden behind a broken statue, watching. Cole helped an injured alien child onto a stretcher, speaking gently to calm him. The other humans looked uneasy, but they didn't stop him. One soldier shouted, "Cole, what are you doing?" "That thing's not our problem." Cole looked at him with tired eyes. "He's hurt," he said simply. "That makes him our problem." The other soldier turned away, muttering under his breath. But no one argued again. Lyra's eyes widened. She had never seen anything like this. Her people said humans enjoyed others' pain. But this one was healing wounds, not making them. For the first time, she didn't feel hate when she looked at a human. She felt confused. That night, she returned to her hiding place. The stars shone faintly above the dark smoke clouds. Lyra sat quietly, thinking about what she had seen. Then she heard soft footsteps again. She froze, her hand reaching for a piece of broken metal, but the voice she heard was familiar. "Don't worry," said Cole's voice. "It's just me." He stepped into the ruins, holding a small lantern. His armor was dusty and his eyes looked tired but calm. "You stayed here," he said, looking at her leg. "You should rest." "It's still bad." Lyra didn't answer. She just stared at him. "Why are you helping me?" she finally asked. "You're human. I thought your kind hated us." Cole sighed and sat down on a rock near her. "I don't hate anyone," he said softly. "War makes people forget what kindness is. I'm just trying to remember." His words felt strange to her, too gentle for a human. She didn't know if she should believe him. He opened another ration pack and placed it between them. "Eat," he said. "You'll need strength." This time she didn't wait as long. Her stomach was empty and her body weak. She slowly reached out and took a small bite. The food was dry but warm. Cole smiled a little. "Better than nothing, right?" Lyra nodded slowly. "It's strange," she said quietly. "I thought humans eat others, not share food." He chuckled, shaking his head. "No, we only eat too much junk food." She didn't understand the joke, but his soft laughter made her chest feel lighter. For the next few minutes, they sat in silence. The sound of distant machines filled the air. But here, in this broken place, it felt peaceful. When Lyra finally spoke again, her voice was low. "Why are you really here?" "Your people destroyed my city." Cole looked at the ground. "We were told your army attacked first," he said. "That your ships bombed our colony on Vega 3. We came to stop your invasion." "That's not true," Lyra said quickly. "We never attacked your worlds." It was a misunderstanding. Cole met her eyes. Then someone lied to both of us. The silence between them grew heavy again. For the first time, they both realized the same thing. Neither side really knew who started the war. Suddenly, a sound of voices echoed from the street outside. Human soldiers were patrolling nearby. Cole stood quickly. "They can't see you," he said in a whisper. "If they find you here, they'll shoot." Lyra's body tensed in fear. Cole grabbed his helmet and looked around quickly. "Stay quiet," The night sky burned red. New human ships had landed in the city, their engines shaking the ground. Their banners were different, black and red instead of blue. Their soldiers moved fast, harsh, and silent. They didn't look like Sergeant Cole's group. From her hiding place, Lyra watched them with wide eyes. These new humans looked colder, harder. They shouted orders, dragging alien survivors from the ruins. Anyone who resisted was pushed to the ground. Lyra's heart pounded. Who were they? She didn't see Cole anywhere. Fear rose in her chest. Had they taken him? She waited until morning. Smoke still hung over the streets. The Black Banner soldiers were building something near the city center, a tall metal tower with blinking red lights. Lyra didn't understand what it was for, but the sight filled her with unease. When the sun climbed higher, she decided to find Cole. She moved through the broken alleys, staying low, avoiding patrols. Every sound made her jump. Her injured leg slowed her down, but she kept going. She didn't even know why she was risking her life for a human soldier. But something inside her said she had to. At last, she saw him. Cole was standing near a group of prisoners, alien civilians captured by the new soldiers. His hands were tied, his face bruised. He was arguing with one of the Black Banner officers. Lyra crept closer and listened. "These people aren't soldiers," Cole said angrily. "They're medics, children, civilians. You can't just take them." The officer turned to him coldly. "Orders are orders, Sergeant. Command says this city is infected." "No survivors." Cole's face went pale. "Infected? That's a lie. There's no disease here." The officer's voice grew sharp. "You talk too much, Cole. Maybe you've forgotten which side you're on." Cole took a deep breath. "If following orders means killing the innocent, then maybe I'm on the wrong side." The officer's eyes narrowed. "Careful, Sergeant. Words like that can get you executed." Lyra held her breath. She wanted to scream, to tell them he wasn't a traitor, but she couldn't move. She was too far away, too weak. Moments later, the officer ordered his men to take Cole away. Two soldiers grabbed him and pushed him toward the camp's metal gates. Lyra followed quietly, her heart racing. Inside the camp, she saw a small tent where Cole was locked up. His hands were tied behind his back. Two guards stood outside talking. Lyra hid behind a pile of metal scraps, watching. She had to think fast. Then she saw something shining near the tent, a small black device lying in the dirt. She crawled closer and picked it up. It was Cole's communicator. The screen was cracked but still glowing faintly. Words blinked across it. "Transmission ready, Earth command waiting for report." Lyra stared at it, confused. She pressed one button and saw a short message written by Cole. "War based on false reports. Alien civilians not hostile. Request ceasefire urgent." Her eyes widened. He tried to stop the war. He had sent this message before being arrested. But the communicator showed transmission blocked. The signal had never reached Earth. Lyra realized the truth. Someone didn't want peace. She hid the communicator in her clothes and slipped away before the guards could see her. Her heart was beating fast. She had to help him. That night, she sneaked back into the camp again. The guards were half asleep. She crawled behind the tents until she reached Cole's prison. He was awake, sitting in the dark, looking tired. When he saw her shadow, he whispered, "Lyra, how did you get here?" She moved closer and showed him the communicator. "I found this. You tried to send a message." Cole's eyes widened. "You read it?" She nodded. "You wanted to stop the war." He gave a weak smile. "Yeah, but my command doesn't want to hear the truth." She bit her lip. "I can help. I can get your message out." Cole shook his head. "No, if they catch you, they'll kill you." Lyra leaned closer. "If we do nothing, they'll kill everyone. Tell me how to send it." He hesitated for a long time, then whispered a short code. "There's an old transmitter near the city tower. If you can reach it and use this code, it'll send my message directly to the orbit fleet. They'll have to see it." Lyra nodded firmly. "I'll do it." Before she could leave, Cole said softly, "Lyra, thank you." She froze for a moment. "For what?" "For believing a monster could be human." His words hit deep in her heart. Lyra moved quickly through the ruins, keeping to the shadows. The night air was cold, the sky filled with smoke. She finally reached the base of the metal tower. Guards surrounded it, but she found a small side door open. Inside, red lights blinked from machines. A console sat near the back wall, glowing faintly. She pulled out the communicator, entered the code, and pressed send. The screen blinked. Transmitting message? Her heart leapt with hope. But then, stop! A voice shouted. Lyra spun around. 2 soldiers stood behind her, weapons raised. She tried to run, but one grabbed her arm. The communicator fell to the floor. She screamed, kicking wildly, but the soldiers overpowered her. Then a gunshot echoed. The soldier holding her fell. Lyra looked up in shock. Cole was standing in the doorway, gun smoking in his hand. "Run!" he shouted. "Go now." She grabbed the communicator and sprinted out as alarms began to wail. Red lights filled the tower. Soldiers shouted orders. Behind her, explosions roared as Cole fired back at the guards. When she reached the street, she looked up. The sky flickered as the message signal shot upward, a bright beam of blue light disappearing into the clouds. The message was sent. The city lay silent now. No more bombs. No more screams. Only the whisper of wind moving through ruins that once held life. Lyra sat near the remains of a broken wall, watching Sergeant Cole rebuild a small shelter from pieces of metal. His hands were steady, strong, but gentle. She had never seen a human act that way. Her whole life she was told humans destroyed everything they touched. Yet here he was, saving her, not killing her. For 2 days they stayed together in the ruins. Cole kept watch at night, guarding her even when she slept. When she woke from nightmares, he would quietly hand her water without a word. He never asked for thanks. He never demanded anything. Still, fear sat heavy in Lyra's chest. She kept her distance. Every time Cole tried to talk, she gave short answers. Her mind could not trust what her eyes were seeing. "Why help me?" she asked one night, her voice shaking. "Your people. They killed mine." Cole looked at her for a long moment. Then he said softly, "I don't fight people. I fight wars, and wars, they lie to both sides." His words stayed in her head long after he spoke them. On the 3rd morning, smoke rose again in the distance. A scouting drone flew over, scanning the area. Cole's face turned serious. "They're searching." "We can't stay here," he said. "Who?" she asked quickly. "My unit," he replied. "If they find you, they'll think you're a threat." Fear flooded her. "Then why don't you call them? Tell them you found me. I'm your enemy." "Isn't that what humans do?" Cole looked down. "Maybe that's what we used to do. But not anymore." He turned off his comlink. Lyra's eyes widened. That simple act, shutting down his connection, meant he was now alone. Against orders. Against his own army. By noon, they were moving quietly through broken streets. The air smelled like ash and old metal. Every few minutes, Cole stopped and listened. His instincts were sharp. He knew how to move unseen. Lyra followed, limping, her wounds still fresh. He noticed her pain but didn't speak. He simply adjusted his pace to match hers. She was surprised at the patience of a creature she was told had none. When they reached the edge of the city, a faint signal beeped from Cole's device. He froze. "Patrols nearby," he whispered. "Stay low." They hid behind a collapsed building as 2 human soldiers passed. Their voices carried through the dust. "Command says any alien survivors are to be captured," one said. "Captured? You mean executed?" the other replied darkly. "Orders are orders." Lyra's heart pounded. She looked at Cole. He remained silent, jaw tight, eyes full of something heavy. Shame, maybe. When the patrol left, Lyra whispered, "You could go with them. They'll forgive you. But if they find me," he cut her off. "Then we make sure they don't." That night, they took shelter inside what used to be a school. Cole found an old blanket and tore it into bandages for her leg. He didn't speak while helping, but Lyra could feel his care in every movement. She stared at his face in the dim light. "Why risk everything? You don't even know me." Cole gave a tired smile. "You looked scared." "I've seen that look before. In my own people," his voice softened. "I just don't want to be the monster you think I am." Lyra's throat tightened. For the first time, she saw not a soldier, but a man burdened by war. The next morning, they found an old supply vehicle buried under debris. Cole spent hours repairing its power core. As he worked, Lyra gathered the courage to speak. My people told stories about humans, she said quietly. They said your hearts were cold, your minds cruel. Cole chuckled softly. And my people told stories about you, that you couldn't feel emotion, that you were born without mercy. She looked at him with surprise. So both sides lied. He nodded slowly. That's what war does. It turns truth into weapons. By evening, the vehicle's engine hummed weakly to life. Cole smiled for the first time in days. We can make it to the valley before dawn, he said. But before they could move, a sharp crack echoed. A sniper's shot. The bullet struck near them, sending dust flying. Cole pushed Lyra down. Stay here, he yelled. He grabbed his rifle, scanning the rooftops. More shots followed. Humans had found them. Cole fired back, covering Lyra as she crawled toward the vehicle. Go, he shouted. The storm of dust had not yet cleared. The small supply vehicle rattled through the ruined streets, its weak engine coughing and groaning. Lyra gripped the steering handle tight, her hands shaking. Smoke filled the air behind her. Somewhere back there, Cole was still fighting. She wanted to turn back. Every part of her screamed to, but the sound of explosions kept her frozen. If she returned, she'd only die beside him. She slowed near the city's edge, heart heavy. From the cracked mirror, she saw flashes of light far away. Tracer rounds, fire, then silence. Then nothing. The war had taken everything from her once. Now it had taken him too. Lyra hid the vehicle under an overpass and waited. Night fell like a shadow across the broken world. Her wounds ached, but her heart hurt worse. She thought about the way Cole smiled when she refused his food, the way he sat quietly beside her instead of forcing her to eat. He could have left her. He could have followed orders. But he didn't. He stayed. She looked at the small ration pack still sitting beside her seat. It was half-eaten, the meal they were supposed to share later. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. Inside was a folded note written in rough human script. If you find this, keep moving east. There's a valley where the air is clean. You'll be safe there. Don't let them change who you are. Her eyes filled with tears. Cole had known he might not make it. He had planned everything for her survival, not his. She pressed the paper to her chest, whispering, You were never the monster. By dawn, she began driving again. The sky was red from the smoke of burning cities. Drone sounds buzzed faintly above, human machines searching for survivors. Lyra knew she couldn't be seen. She covered the vehicle with scrap metal and drove through side paths. Hours passed. Hunger burned in her stomach, but she didn't stop. Cole's words echoed in her mind. Keep moving east. But as she crossed the edge of the dead city, her scanner beeped. A faint life signal behind her. Her breath caught. It was weak. Human, could it be him? She turned the vehicle around. Every instinct told her this was foolish, dangerous. But something stronger, something she didn't even understand, made her keep going. When she reached the signal, she found broken buildings and the remains of a firefight. Burn marks, shattered helmets, and there near the rubble a man lay still. His armor was torn, his rifle beside him. Cole, she shouted, running to him. He didn't answer. His breathing was slow, shallow. A dark wound ran across his side. Lyra knelt down, tears blurring her vision. She placed her hand on his shoulder. I came back, she whispered. Cole's eyes fluttered open. He tried to smile. You're supposed to be gone, he murmured weakly. I don't leave friends behind, she said softly. He gave a faint laugh. You sound like a human. She shook her head. No, you sound like what humans should be. She dragged him to the vehicle, her strength barely enough. The journey east began again, but slower. Cole drifted in and out of consciousness. Lyra used what little medical knowledge she had to stop the bleeding. At night, she listened to his weak breathing. She didn't pray. Her people didn't believe in gods, but she wished with all her heart that he would survive. As they crossed into the outskirts of the valley, the landscape began to change. The air was clearer, the sky bluer. It almost felt alive again. Cole's eyes opened one last time that morning. You found it, he whispered. Good. You'll be safe here. What about you? She asked. He smiled faintly. I'll stay until I can't. No, she said firmly. We stay together. Both of us. He tried to sit up, but pain stopped him. Lyra, you don't understand. My people will come here soon. If they find us both, they'll kill you. She looked at him, her voice trembling. Then they'll have to kill me beside you. Hours later, Cole grew quiet. His breathing slowed again. He looked at the horizon, where sunlight touched the mountains. "You see that?" he asked softly. "That's what I wanted you to see. The world before war. It's still beautiful, isn't it?" Lyra nodded, tears running down her face. He closed his eyes, smiling. "Good, then silence." Only the wind moved through the valley. She sat there for a long time, unable to move. Then she whispered, "You saved me. You saved what I thought about humans." She covered him gently with his old uniform jacket, then stood. But just as she turned to leave, a shadow passed overhead. A human dropship. It was scanning the valley. She froze. If they found Cole's body and her near it, they would assume she killed him. Panic hit her. She grabbed his ID tag and his ration pack. "Forgive me," she whispered, and ran into the trees. Behind her, the ship landed. Soldiers stepped out, scanning the ground. One of them stopped over Cole's body and knelt. "This is Sergeant Cole," he said into his radio. "Missing in action. Found near alien tracks." There was silence, then the radio crackled. "Understood. Burn everything." Lyra stopped running when she heard the explosion behind her. Fire rose high into the air. Her heart shattered, but she kept moving east into the unknown. The valley was quiet now, untouched by war. For the first time in weeks, Lyra could hear the soft rustle of leaves, the song of birds returning. But peace did not live in her heart. Every sound reminded her of Cole's last breath, his faint smile and the fire that took him away. She had promised him she would survive. She had promised to keep believing. So she built a small shelter near the cliffs and stayed hidden. Each night she looked at his ID tag and whispered, "You were the only human who showed me kindness." Days turned into weeks. She gathered food, learned to move through forests quietly, and treated her wounds until they healed. But deep inside she felt something stronger than fear: purpose. Cole had given his life to protect her. She couldn't let his sacrifice vanish in silence. One morning, a faint noise broke the calm, a distant ship descending. Lyra froze, scanning the sky. It wasn't a human military craft. The markings were alien, her people's. She ran toward it, waving her arms. The ship landed with a hiss. Armed alien soldiers stepped out, their weapons raised. "Identify yourself," one barked. Lyra shouted, "It's me!" Medic Lyra from the 7th Division. They lowered their guns, shock on their faces. "You're alive? We thought everyone in the city was dead." She nodded. "Not everyone." Inside the ship, the commander, a tall alien with silver skin, stared at her curiously. "You survived among humans?" "How?" Lyra looked down. "Because one of them saved me." The room went silent. The commander frowned. "Impossible. Humans don't take prisoners. They destroy." Lyra's voice trembled but firmed. "Then you don't know them like I do." She told them everything. How Sergeant Cole found her, how he refused to kill her, how he shared his food, protected her, and died saving her life. When she finished, no one spoke. "You're saying a human soldier betrayed his army for you?" the commander asked. "Yes," Lyra said softly. "He did it because he believed monsters can change." The commander paced. "The High Council must hear this," he said finally. "If what you're saying is true, it changes everything." As they flew back toward the alien capital, Lyra felt both fear and hope. Maybe, just maybe, Cole's death wouldn't be for nothing. But when they arrived, she realized the truth. Her story was dangerous. The alien council chamber was filled with generals and politicians. When Lyra spoke about Cole's mercy, many laughed. "A human showing kindness?" One scoffed. "You've gone mad." Another sneered. "You were deceived by their tricks." Lyra slammed her hand on the table. "He could have killed me." "He didn't. He gave me his food, his water, his life." "You call that a monster?" The chamber fell silent. The head counselor leaned forward. "Do you have proof of this human?" Lyra pulled out the ID tag. "Here, Sergeant Cole, you can find his records." Hours later, the council's technicians verified it. Cole was real. His military logs showed his last transmission had been unusual. It wasn't coordinates or battle data. It was a single message: protect the medic. She's not the enemy. The entire room went still. Even the harshest generals said nothing. The counselor finally spoke, voice quieter now. "This changes things." Word of Lyra's survival spread across the system. Some aliens refused to believe her story. Others began to question everything they had been told about humans. A few weeks later, an unexpected signal came from Human Command. It was not a threat. It was a transmission, encrypted, calm, and direct. We recovered Sergeant Cole's records. He disobeyed orders. He saved one of you. We want to know why. The Alien Council debated for days. Finally, they agreed to a rare act. They invited human representatives for a meeting. When the human ship landed on alien soil for the first time, the entire planet watched. Lyra stood there among her people, trembling. From the ship stepped 3 human officers. One of them, a woman, carried something in her hand, a folded flag and a small box. She walked up to Lyra slowly and said, "You must be Lyra. Cole's report mentioned you." Lyra's throat tightened. "He spoke about me?" The woman nodded. "He called you his reason." She handed Lyra the box. Inside was Cole's personal recording unit. Lyra pressed the button. Cole's voice filled the hall, soft and tired. "If anyone finds this, tell them. Not all aliens are enemies. Not all humans are monsters. Some of us just want the war to stop." When the message ended, silence filled the air. Then, one by one, both sides lowered their weapons. The war didn't end that day, but it began to break. In the weeks that followed, secret truces became open talks. Patrols stopped firing on sight. Relief ships crossed borders without being attacked. And in every meeting room, in every common,